Section 4. Reading for Understanding. Key ideas. Before, you learned, although some traditional ways of life are still practiced, life has changed in China. More people are living in cities. Now you will learn, small changes in the Chinese government and big changes in the Chinese economy are taking place. Vocabulary, terms and names. Province, a governmental division like a state. National People's Congress, NPC, China's national lawmaking body. Demonstration, a public gathering to protest a policy or action. Tiananmen Square, the location of a huge demonstration for democratic rights that occurred in 1989. Command economy, an economy in which the government owns all land, factories, and businesses, and decides what will be produced. Free enterprise, an economy in which business is privately owned. Reform, action to improve social or economic conditions. Reading strategy, recreate the chart shown at right. As you read and respond to the key questions, use the chart to summarize information about China's government and economy. Section 4. Government and Economics, a Rising Power. Connecting to your world. Take a look at the labels in your clothing or shoes, or on a small electronic device, such as an inexpensive calculator. Many goods that Americans use every day are made in China. This is a big change from the days of Mao, when most products produced in China stayed there. Chinese people had little contact with foreigners or their businesses. Today, China, a rising power in Asia and the world, welcomes foreigners and foreign companies. A strong central government. Key question. Who controls China's central government? For centuries, China has had a strong national government. It controlled provinces, state-like governmental units, and local areas. Today, the national government makes decisions that the provinces and local governments must carry out. The Chinese national lawmaking body is called the National People's Congress, or NPC. Local and provincial people's congresses elect members of this body. However, in reality, the Communist Party sets the country's policies by selecting candidates for elections and controlling the NPC. Government and the Communist Party. As you can see in the diagram below, the NPC chooses the president and the state council or cabinet. The president chooses a prime minister to run the government. The NPC also selects judges for the courts. However, every government office is watched over by Communist Party officials. They make sure the government follows the party's plans. Political trends. You learned that the government keeps tight control of people's lives. Beginning in April 1989, demonstrations against corruption and for more democratic freedoms took place at Beijing's Tiananmen Square. In early June, the government brutally cracked down on the demonstrators, but the event reflected increasing citizen pressure for reforms in China. Today, people are a little freer to protest against government policies, but the government still limits many basic rights. Demonstrations are often broken up by force. Protesters are beaten or jailed if they continue to speak out against the government. Find main ideas. Tell who controls China's central government.
Comparing Chinese and U.S. governments. Chinese government. Chinese citizens elect members of their local People's Congress. After that election, they have no more input into government. Local People's Congresses select National People's Congress. National People's Congress select President. National People's Congress select Military Commission. National People's Congress select Judiciary. National People's Congress select State Council. U.S. government. U.S. citizens elect representatives and the President for the national government. Citizens elect Congress. Citizens elect President. President appoints Supreme Court. Congress approves Supreme Court. Critical thinking. Compare and contrast. How was the selection of a president in China different from the selection of a president in the United States? 2. Evaluate. How does division of power in the U.S. government differ from China's?
Economic reforms. Key question. How did economic reforms bring Western influences to China? Under Mao, China had a command economy. That means the central government owned all the land, materials, and factories. It decided what goods would be produced. However, in 1978, leader Deng Xiaoping began to allow elements of free enterprise. In this type of economy, people can own a business and sell their products for a profit. The government invited foreign companies to invest in big projects and build factories in China. International trade. The reforms, or improvements described above, dramatically changed China's economy. Today, China makes more low-cost goods than any other country and is a big player in international trade. Most of China's trade is with the United States, Taiwan, and Japan. As you can see in the graph below, in 15 years, China's exports and imports skyrocketed. More economic opportunities. The Chinese government still owns part of most large Chinese firms. But now there are also many privately owned Chinese companies. In a move to attract foreign businesses, Chinese cities give companies tax breaks. They have also built airports, hotels, malls, and public transportation. Many foreign companies build factories in China. Some sell their products in China, and others buy products made by Chinese companies. As a result, many new jobs have been created. Now the government is starting to develop Western China. It is building roads and railways to the area and drilling there for oil and natural gas. Foreign companies are opening offices, factories, and stores in Western Chinese cities. Western influences. Economic changes have brought more Chinese people into contact with Europeans and Americans. Some of these people are students, scientists, and business people who travel to the West. Others work with Westerners in China. As a result, these groups have become more comfortable with Western ideas. American and European chains opened stores in China, some in large new malls like the one shown below. The Chinese now eat at many well-known Western fast food restaurants. Water parks, miniature golf, and ski resorts are now all part of Chinese life. Western companies also influence the treatment of Chinese workers. Many demand safe, clean, and comfortable factories for workers and limit the number of hours people can work. Analyze effects. Detail the Western influences that economic reforms brought to China.
Connect. Economics and culture. Chinese malls. Shopping in malls is a new experience for most Chinese. In recent years, the Chinese have constructed some of the world's largest malls. In fact, China is projected to have 7 of the 10 largest malls in the world by 2010. The South China Mall, currently the world's largest, is about 3 times the size of the Mall of America in the United States. Luchu Commercial City, the mall shown here, is located in Guangzhou. Critical thinking. Make inferences. How do Chinese malls reflect Western influences?
Current issues and trends. Key question. What challenges does China face in the 21st century? With a population of over 1 billion, China needs to make sure its economy continues to grow. That growth is needed to supply enough jobs for its workers. The transportation and communication systems need to be expanded, and the country also needs to generate more electricity. As you learned in Section 1, the Three Gorges Dam will help produce more electricity. China has plans for 46 additional dams. However, this expansion does not come without problems. Huge projects like the dams or the creation of immense farms in Western China often have negative effects on the environment. Environment. China faces serious air and water pollution problems. The country has 16 of the 20 most polluted cities in the world. China ranks behind only the United States in the creation